Alright, so let's start with creating the pillar first. So I'll just add a simple cylinder. And just for scale reference, I have imported this UE5 mannequin. Let's scale our cylinder. Let's go to edit. Delete these top and bottom faces. And now let's add some details. For some corner edges which you want to make sharp, just select the edges, press Ctrl E and select Mark Sharp. Alright, now let's create the material for this. And I'm using this rock surface material from Polyhaven. I have downloaded simple 1K material. So these are all the textures. Now just enable the Node Wrangler add-on and then you can just click on Principal BSDF and press Ctrl Shift T. It will ask you for the texture location and you just select all the textures and it will automatically create a PBR material. Now let's create some UVs. So just select one edge loop and press U, mark seam, select all and unwrap. Now if we go to UV map, here is our UV. Now I'm gonna straighten these UVs. So just select one of the faces and I'm gonna straighten these UVs first. So just right click tool and align auto. These two, align auto, and the bottom ones. Now select this UV, press L to select rest and search for follow active quad and it will straighten all. Now I'm gonna add some normal details to top and bottom of this pillar. So I'm just gonna select my base material and add another material slot. Select my same material and duplicate it and name this one rock base normal. Select the top and bottom faces and press assign. So here I am painting some basic shapes in Krita. I'm going to use these as height maps. I've created some random shapes and some Sanskrit words like Om. So finally I created this image. So I painted some text, some random shapes and some of these straight lines which has a gradient from center towards out. Now here in our shader editor with the rock base normal selected, let's edit this material. So first I'm not going to use this displacement. Let's drag our bump map, set it to norm color. And in place of normal map, I'm going to use bump. So this default normal, I'm going to place it in normal. And our pattern, I'm going to use it with height. Let's plug this normal to our material normal. Now in the UV editor, let's select these faces one by one. And let's drag their position towards our pattern. Scale it, match the shape. We can set the strength here. Similarly, so here I am modeling some basic stepstones. To add some etched image, I used OCD light. After adding damage, I simply created UVs with the smart projection. So here I am modeling rest of the pieces, starting from the base. I used same two materials to add details to the walls. Now to add some carved statue type of details, I took the help of AI. So I'm again using Leonardo.ai, and here I have put a simple prompt like elephant carvings on the outer walls of ancient Indian temple close up, and I'm generating a 1K image. So it creates this type of images. After entering different prompts, I finally got this image. Then I created a depth pass from the same image. So I'm using this zero shot depth estimation. It is available on Hugging Faces. And if you upload this image, you can get a simple depth pass. Let's download it. Now let's create it. So let me add a plane and give it the same material. I'm gonna duplicate it and let's call it statue. Here I have also created a simple normal map using Krita. Now let's drag our main image in our material, and if I click apply, here it is. Let's scale it a little bit. Now let's subdivide this a few times. Now let's add a subd modifier and a displacement modifier. Click on new and let's select our depth pass. So you can see it is applied here. So the strength is too high. So let's reduce the strength to about 0.2. You can add more subdivision level to make it smoother. Now I'm going to apply these modifiers and smoothen it a little bit with sculpting. Now in the material editor, I'm going to mix these two textures so it gives us a little bit of rocky look to it. And also I'm going to use the normal map that I generated from Kita. So this is how it finally looks. It looks pretty good for stone carvings and nominal depth surfaces like this one. Now finally I can remesh it. So I'm just going to use the decimate modifier. So in the same way, I created these more statues like this elephant. I created these type of bump maps. And also I created these patterns. So here I have applied that elephant pattern to the bottom of the temple base and these patterns at the corners. Then I started modeling the other parts like roof and stones. Again, I used the two materials and applied the normal material to the sides and aligned the UVs to the right position. Alright, so this is the final model. I have created some details, like I have created these stones and placed them in the corners and in between. And I have also created these top pieces. And in the same way, I have added these normal details. Now let's create the rest of the environment. So for the trees, I am using this free low poly trees from BlenderKit. You can just drag on to your scene. So these are the two trees that I'm going to use. Now I want to create a mountain kind of background with these trees all around this temple. So for that, I'm going to use the ANT landscape and I'm going to scale it up pretty big and just position it behind it. Now I don't need these back faces and also these side ones. Let's add a camera and set the view. Now let's distribute these trees onto this cliff. So I have used this basic geometry node setup to instance these trees on the cliff. When you download these trees from BlenderKit, you also get a ground material. So let's add that ground material to our ground. Now let's add a sunlight to our scene and rotate it a little bit. Let's increase its strength. So this is the final scene. I have added a little more detail. So for example, I have added these plants and these smaller rocks. I have taken these from Quixel Mega Scan asset set. And I have also added some vines on top. Here, I have manually placed some trees just to get the shadows right. Now to render it, I am using the cycles render with GPU compute and denoising on. To reduce the render times, you can reduce this noise threshold value to 0.1 or even higher. And also in the light path maximum bounces, you can reduce this total bounce value. And in color management, I am using the new AGX view transform. To add some depth to the scene, I am using this mist pass. You can go to world setting, and in mist pass, you can set this start and depth value. So now let's render. So this is our basic render. Now let's go to compositing. So in compositing, click on use nodes and you will get these two nodes. And also click on this backdrop to see your render in the background. You can Control Shift click on the render layers and it will add a viewer node. Now here, if you click again, you can see this mist pass. So let's composite this mist pass. So let's add a color ramp node. Plug it after the mist. And let's add a mix node. Plug the image into image and the color ramp to the secondary image. Control Shift click on the mix to view this. Now let's change this mix type to screen. And you can see the mist is added to our scene. However, it is too much, so let's decrease the factor. And you can also drag this black value of the color ramp. It will remove the mist from the foreground. Let's change this white color to a little bit bluish color to give it a more subtle environment. Now let's add a lens distort node. Click on fit and give a value of about 0.02. It gives a distortion effect to our render. So after final color correction and post-processing, this is the final render. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.